Hey folks, welcome to Geeks in Space, episode 352. I'm your host, Rob CmdrTaco Malta. I hope the gravity here in the Geeks in Space station is to your liking. If you need to adjust your gravity or like your atmosphere controls, there's a couple of buttons in the interface. It's labeled subscribe and the other one's labeled like. You can press those buttons to make things more comfortable for you. Let's talk. Let's see who's here today. Mr. Rob.
I'm Rob Roseboom.
And Nate.
And I'm Nate Ostendorf.
Happy to be back. We see the back of Chris's head.
Hi, everybody.
Quite the
Welcome to episode 352. So I was just making sure that we were streaming. In theory, we're streaming to the public. It's very exciting on the YouTubes.
Excellent. So the first one that I put this one up. Did you see Doom on an unmodified Nintendo?
That is pretty cool. I at first I thought that guy just shelled out the NES and replaced it with the Raspberry Pi, and I was like, that's lame. Then I realized, oh no, he has a Raspberry Pi in the cart and actually went through and built the cartridge and has software that is dynamically remapping the memory. It looks like Doom on a Nintendo, but that is, I think, pretty awesome.
You can do amazing things with what is it? He got like 32 colors or something on the NES. 16.
It's 32 colors. That always reminds me of the extended VGA mode on the IBM PC. You would have like
640 by 400, where you had 16 colors.
It was like 16 colors, but you could do this plane bashing stuff in the memory, and you could get like 32 colors out of it, or 64 sometimes.
I'm
high-end shit, man.
I'm a bit obsessed. There's a YouTuber out there. I'm trying to remember which one it is. But he's got all these weird videos. Yeah, there you go. He's got all these weird videos where he like goes through different video cards and like the different capabilities of like the Commodore 64 and the Nintendo and all these different era things. It's a lot different than just having a frame buffer that you can dump pixels to. And that then and again is way more different than like, now I throw a billion triangles at my GPU.
It's so different. I remember when I was a younger person, I had an amber screen and a text video card that could drive it. And the card could do 80 by 40 or 80 by 25. Anyways, I was
text characters.
Yeah, it was serious business. And so I was flinging characters at it as fast as I could in assembly language, and I couldn't figure out why it was going so slow to update. And I realized I was at the limit of the bus trying to address this thing. And I'm like, are you kidding me? This is nuts. It was really fun.
I also like how Doom seems to be the game that everyone uses to play on whatever system,
Right. Yeah.
I'm sure
at a stone.
Yeah. I'm sure once we have brain implants, they'll be one of the first things that someone will get Doom to play on it.
Yeah. Well, because Doom for a while, when they were using it at Transmeta, they were showing Transmeta switching from a regular processor to a Java processor or something. And I guess Doom has this inner virtual machine loop that they wrote a long time ago for the control of the higher performance stuff. And so I guess it lends itself well to replatforming. I don't know.
I thought a lot of those loops were written in assembly too. That was kind of like Carmack's deal, right?
Exactly. He would unroll loops. He would do all this cool stuff. But yeah,
I mean, it's really impressive stuff. I mean, the Nintendo guy hasn't released code or anything. I also like that his inspiration for it was somebody put a Raspberry Pi into a Nintendo cartridge, not to like play it or anything, just to have a Raspberry Pi and to use the old NES cartridge as the case. He's like, well, if I could do that, I can probably like hook up the GPIO pins to the actual hardware. That's
here's some very important nerd knowledge. The first shipping RISC processor was actually Star Fox for the Nintendo.
Back when they weren't blast processing, they called that what, Super FX?
Yeah, they called it Super FX, but it was literally the first time that the industry shipped a RISC processor. Period.
That was the thing that I didn't really appreciate about early console carts, is that in many cases, half of your computer
What's in the cartridge?
Yeah. Yeah, it's sweet. There's another nifty video that I saw recently, which was how to detect pirated NES cartridges or clones or copies. She opened it up and like there's scans of like what the chips are supposed to look like. And there's all sorts of weird stuff about how people have cloned these highly collectible Nintendo cartridges.
Wow.
And a lot of them just use like a generic board and there's like a flash ROM and you just flash the game onto and it kind of just works. But a lot of these games, that's not actually like something you can do. But you can immediately see like, oh, this is the fake because the chip configuration is wrong. And like there's all sorts of other weird stuff like if you see solder, but things like that, like more obvious tells.
Right, like if you take it and you blow on it and it still doesn't work, that's pirated. You know?
Right, that's how you can tell.
Right.
I was in pre-Chavez Venezuela when I was in my 20s, and I remember I was at a shop in a mall, and they had a 128 and 64 Game-in-One cartridge for the Nintendo. And I was like,
what?
My goodness, you know, and real games too, like not just like some crappy stuff. I mean,
see the video game rental place that Rob probably remembers, the Player's Palace. They had like 2 different of those cartridges, like one with like 100 games and one with like 50 games. This is like maybe in 1989.
Yeah, totally.
And I remember renting that cartridge for whatever my 99 cents was to play that thing for a weekend. And like 40 of the games are total garbage. They're like really shitty Atari ST. I swore I got to put a Satoshi in the swear jar, the swear wallet.
We should have
but yeah, the games are mostly like really crappy Atari 2600 ports. And then like a couple of like obvious copies of legit games.
No, I mean, the one I saw in Venezuela was literally like Mario Brothers.
Yeah, unencumbered by intellectual property rights. You know?
Yeah.
It's a lot easier. I'm actually bummed Jeff's not here because I was just watching a thing. I don't know where your World War I knowledge sits at, but Peter Jackson's "They Shall Not Grow Old" documentary that he did. I'm not like a history buff. Like my interest in history usually is like Cold War weapons. I want to read about the SR-71. I'll read about that forever. But I'm not like a big knowledgeable person when it comes to World War I. But this is, they took the original footage that they had, you know, the hand cranked, black and white, so the frame rates are all irregular. But I mean, you know what that looks like, and that just the nature of the film quality like puts you at a distance from those events. And they put just massive time and money into restoring that footage and colorizing it and making it widescreen and like making it feel like a modern, like these look like shots out of Saving Private Ryan now, although without the color saturation thing that they did to Saving Private Ryan. Like they did a good job of making it look real. Now I'm only halfway through, so I don't know how the war is going to go, so no spoilers. But like the first 20 minutes is all like black and white, hand crank, the stuff you're used to in a little tiny square in the thing. And then as the soldiers get to the war, they widen it out, and it's pretty darn intense. And the stories that these guys are telling, my grandpa told me a lot of stories from World War II. But World War I is a different beast, man. They got horses and tanks.
Yeah,
it was super weird.
It was the first war really where you have machines that could kill at a huge level like that, like machine guns. The first time they introduced real chemical weapons and stuff like the mustard gas. I mean, it was so horrific. A lot of people figured that would be the last one. What did they know? You know?
Well, that's why they called it the Great War, because it was so much fun.
Dan Carlin's series on World War I, Countdown to Armageddon, is really excellent as well. Yeah, that has a lot of stories.
When he talks about the Psalm, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's really interesting. You know, I sat in on a 75th anniversary of D-Day thing in London when I was there a couple weeks ago, and they were interviewing this guy. He was a veteran of the landings at Normandy, And he's basically, they gave him the mic to answer a question, and he just kept the mic for like 15 minutes. And he's like, let me tell you about the Germans. And it was just like, wow, you know. Yeah, he's like, we didn't take any prisoners. Not that there weren't men surrendering to us, but you know.
My grandpa was out there, and so I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but the number of World War II veterans is a shrinking population.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and there's not all that many of them left. So I think pretty much at this point in his life, he can go to a event and be honored basically every weekend.
Yeah.
So, you know, like we want to go fishing, you know, he's going to go be honored because there's only like a dozen or so World War II vets left in West Michigan or something that are available for that. But he's got some stories, man. And I don't want to dig too hard. I do remember as a kid putting on his uniform jacket and it being really tight on me. And this is like when I'm in high school, and I wasn't a fat kid or anything. I was a fairly average sized kid. But like this is like a super tight jacket. And my grandpa was a hulking man, you know, to my high school eyes. And to realize, you know, it really does put that stuff into perspective. I mean, he was a kid.
Well, you know, you'd hear stories about people being drafted or volunteering for the war, and the first time they wear shoes is in the army. And it's like, you know, you're like, holy crap.
Tell me more about these advancements in shoe technology that we've had.
That sounds like it's something for fancy people.
Also, we figured out how to launch canisters of mustard gas, so everything's going to be fine.
Yeah, and you know, I'm sure the wind will blow that way. It'll be cool, you know.
Hey, I'm going to put something up on, see if we can actually hear this thing. It might actually be breaking, so this might not work. Let's see if it'll show up. I'm going to hear it.
You know how to present to the meeting, right?
Let's see if this is going to work. Can you hear this?
Yes.
Sounds like it's coming through your microphone, though.
It might be. I'll pause it. So this is on the Taco Zone Reddit, but you should check it out. It's somebody who's sampling police scanner radio from San Francisco, and then he's like trying to sync it up in real time with it looks like pre-generated techno beats. So I imagine that's how the cops of the future are going to fight crime. They're going to be listening to their sweet techno beats, listening to.
You're going to have 124 beats per minute. You're going to go take care of that homeless guy over on. Copy.
We're going to need to crank up the BPM. This one's on meth.
Yeah. I just figure it's the future of music now that sampling costs so much money. Yeah. I mean, if the Beastie Boys were around today, Paul's Boutique would just be this. You know, it would be this and fire departments and ambulance calls.
You know, they might have gotten to that song. They have that cop song that they have.
I don't know about the Beastie Boys and the cop sign. I could probably give you a fair bit of B-Boy Boolia bass.
Maybe it was Sabotage. Anyway, doesn't matter. It's not nerd.
On your Eggman.
Let's go back to our nerd roots.
The Beastie Boys are pretty darn nerdy as far as the technical chops required to do what they were doing. Although I don't know if that was the Beastie Boys themselves or if it was what Rick Rubin was doing all that.
Maybe. Oh, look.
Hey.
Has appeared.
He's muted and he missed the discussion on World War I.
Yeah. Thanks, Jeff.
That's probably actually the area in which I would have been had the most useful information.
That's why I said what I said, Jeff.
Was it World War I though, or was it World War II?
World War I.
All right.
You missed it. It's all gone now.
The Great War, the Awesome War. No, wait. The Great
War. My grandpa would argue with you on which war was the Great War. But he's got a little bit of a bias.
Spanish-American War.
Right. Yeah. He was a big fan of the War of 1812.
No, he's a big fan of Grenada. Even though that wasn't technically a war.
That was more of a bill collection from our drug dealer.
That was more what I liked is the fact that, and I got this statistic from Doonesbury in the 80s, 3.2 awards were given out per service member for people who participate in the Grenada Invasion. So I believe Trudeau described it as the Special Olympics of military intervention. Everyone got multiple medals.
Yeah. Also, at the time, one of the reasons they gave was that there was a lot of nutmeg produced there. I'm not lying. That was That was
the strategic
things,
nutmeg supply. Yeah,
one of the things the press secretary said was, "Well, there's a lot of nutmeg there." And
I know you just said 3.2 medals on average, but I think I'd like to hear the median because I'm guessing that one guy may have gotten like 5,000 of them.
He's like, what am I going to do with all these things?
Lies, damns, lies, and statistics, man. You always hear people use the average. If it's advantageous, you use average. If it's not advantageous, you use the median.
Lies, lies, and damn data science. Is that the 21st century version?
For sure. Lies, lies.
You know what I blame is big data. When data was little,
lies,
it was
machine
trustworthy.
learning. Yeah.
Back before VisiCalc.
Um.
Right. So Dark Phoenix comes out, I guess, in a few hours, depending on where you're at.
I have a really hard time giving a crap.
Right? Did you see 21 on Rotten Tomatoes right now?
Yeah,
wow, that's higher than I expected.
It has terrible reviews. So.
I mean,
I hate to say it, but I think it's Sophie Turner, man. I think that she's like the vacuum of energy for any time she's on the screen. I'm just like, I'm bored now.
The same, I'm forgetting the writer's name, but he was the same writer the last time they did a shit job of doing the Dark Phoenix saga. So why they're like, you know what, we're going to have you do it over again. Yeah. Kinberg, is that who it is?
Yeah, but I always blamed, who was the director of the third X-Men movie?
Nobody.
The one that got in trouble for like touching people.
Oh, that was Bryan Singer. Unless they found another one.
Oh, it's hard to keep track of Hollywood and touching people.
Yeah, they like to touch.
Yeah, there's a lot of touching.
See, I'm trying to decide this afternoon. I wanted to see Dark Phoenix. I'll probably end up seeing Godzilla or Aladdin. I haven't seen either of them yet.
Think about how cool Aladdin was. Aladdin, King of the Monsters.
Aladdin. Ooh, that would be a great mashup,
right?
Yeah, good crossover. Yeah.
Way better.
I mean, there's precedent for that, right? Because Jafar turns into a giant snake in the final scene.
I was going to say, you put a genie in there, and the plots are technically compatible. Like,
so Robin Williams / Will Smith is now a kaiju, stomping all over Agrabah.
And then here comes Idris Elba and a robot, and
I'm pretty excited about this. I think that we need to get the screenplay going.
I mean. Mecha Idris Elba, Mecha Godzilla, so this can work.
There's a good idea for one of the generators, though, is you take the top 3, box office movies of any given week and write a plot combinatorics.
Yeah.
I'm sure once all the writers have been fired and we just have machines write our movies, that will happen eventually.
I think that's how we got Dark Phoenix, though.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be clear.
Yeah,
I'm more than a little bit scared about it, but I also feel like this might be this is the last of the Fox productions. So we're not going to have any more garbage Fantastic Four movies, which is too bad because I really do want a few more garbage.
I think you are underestimating our ability to continue making garbage Fantastic Four movies.
Remember my postulate, my hypothesis, whatever.
It can't be done.
You cannot do a good Fantastic. You cannot do a good Fantastic Four movie. It is impossible.
But I mean, okay, so Plastic Man on the Flash, the elongated man, essentially the same power. But I mean, he functions in a support role acceptably in that TV show.
Honestly, that TV show, they managed, I think it was them, or no, it was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. They managed to make Ghost Rider not suck.
That's true. That's another hard one.
I mean, that was well done to Clark Gregg and the gang. I mean, nobody can make Ghost Rider not suck, and they made him not suck.
Yeah, so especially for a show that is so mediocre so often,
right?
And terrible now, in my opinion. But you're right.
What's been happening in this season? Because the last season I saw was one where they were in space, and
they're in space yet, and there's duplicates, and there's aliens, and I don't know. It's just a mess.
Well, it's the Kree, right?
Well, it's
last season
the Kree.
It's a whole mishmash of whatever stuff they have left over. We've got time travelers, I guess, from the future who are like body clones because they've got a clone.
This is the Marvel version of DC Legends of Tomorrow. It's just crap. It's just they throw all their second-rate heroes into it.
Yeah, it is literally all the second or third plots from different seasons just all thrown together this season.
Yeah, it's just they shake it up in a bag and they throw in some mustard gas and
Yeah.
See, I'm okay with that. If you can pull it off with the charisma, with like good writing, and that's why I think I enjoy Legends of Tomorrow. Is that there's some good writing and some good charisma from some of the performers in that. So I enjoy it because the show is self-aware. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I don't think those
that it's
words
better than
mean
it
what
is.
you think they mean.
yeah.
Oh.
It got past the first couple
To
episodes.
quote The Princess Bride.
I mean, it was so bad, and the actors were so horrific. I mean, even Rory was fine, but my goodness.
I
who's
enjoy
the
that show
blonde
tremendously.
person who's the sister of Black Canary.
Yeah, she's
Stellan
rough.
Skarsgård.
What?
Nothing.
Stellan
I'm not being
Skarsgård.
helpful.
Are we going back to Chernobyl now? Okay, fine. I give up. I'm out. I'm out.
I've watched so many documentaries about Chernobyl now. I'm done. I watched drone footage flying through Chernobyl. I watched dudes tease guys about wanting to go touch the elephant foot, and the guy's like, dude, that's not cool.
Wow.
Done with Chernobyl. Used.
Did you go play the Pripyat episodes in Modern Warfare again? I mean, did you just go all in?
Go all in. No, I did
It's
not.
actually
I
kinda
did.
cool. Basically, you're running around, Pripyat, and it's really cool.
That feels, I don't know. Like, I think I'm done being depressed now. I'm a couple episodes into Good Omens, and the second episode it gets a little better. I'm now that they're introducing the Horsemen, the show's picking up steam a little.
Yeah.
So I'm in for that one.
I saw Black Mirror season 5 just came out. I haven't watched it
Reviews
yet.
are apparently not good.
Are they Dark Phoenix bad, or are they Fantastic Four bad, or
No,
I'm a little concerned that you put your hands. I'm not sure where you're ordering Dark Phoenix and Fantastic Four.
Chris
Wow.
has a neurological disease. He doesn't know either.
this is just a tremor.
within error of measurement.
Yeah.
Nate wants to know what Chris's median opinion is.
It's really plus or minus the Silver Surfer.
Ooh. Having now reread, okay, so I reread the Fantastic Four introduction of Galactus, and I got to tell you, I'm very disappointed. It is 3 issues long. Half of the first issue and half of the last issue is like totally unrelated events. It basically is mostly the Silver Surfer like learning to feel love, and that's the whole like Galactus is supposed to be like the big bad, and he's kind of boring.
Yeah. I remember when I was a kid, there was a comic book called Destroy, and it was a large format. I mean, it was like the size of a poster, and it was basically 30 pages of these 2 superheroes beating the crap out of each other and destroying the city around them. And it's over like some really dumb thing. And it only says destroy, 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 and like all these sound effect things. And then the only line that isn't destroy is like one of the superheroes' girlfriends comes out. I guess they're fighting over her or something. And it's like, oh my goodness, you knocked her out with a minuscule piece of rubble. And that's like the only thing that isn't destroyed. I don't know why I'm telling you about this, but it was more entertaining than both Dark Phoenix and the Fantastic Four.
You haven't seen Dark Phoenix yet. You're going entirely based on the trailer and internet chatter.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
So bad.
I'm being overly.
And all of the evidence of all of the previous X-Men movies.
I stand by. There's at least 2 good X-Men movies.
Yeah,
No,
I'm
that's not true. There's 1 decent one, 1 mediocre one, and the rest are crap.
Logan is good, and the first 2 X-Men movies are good.
I didn't think First Class was bad. I thought that
Yeah, First Class I could watch.
First Class is
time traveling.
fine.
There was like a thing that came after First Class.
Yeah, First Class Part 2. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, it's called Premium Economy.
Yeah, exactly. You went right where I was thinking, which is like these are like my Delta movies right here are the X-Men. It's like, yeah, I've seen everything else. Everything. It's time to go watch the X-Men. If I fall asleep and miss a half an hour,
You know what I'm not going to watch is Axel, that one they keep trying to get me to watch about the boy who
I've seen
adopted
it.
a cybernetic dog.
I've seen it.
Oh yeah.
Of course,
It's bad.
Yeah, of course, Doc has seen it. It's
I've
like,
also seen Alpha. And what's the one about the kid who gets the super sci-fi gun? There was like 4 really bad movies left.
the kid that would be king, which I think has Andy Serkis's kid as the King Arthur kid.
I think that's right.
It's actually pretty good. I'm gonna show it to my son. It wasn't bad, you know.
I finally got my kids through Captain Marvel, and they were uninterested except for the Flurgan. They are large fans of the Flurgan.
The Flurkin. I thought it had a K.
It's awesome.
At first, I thought you said flirting, and I was like, "Really? That's what your boys were into in that movie?"
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just so many hairs brushed behind ears and furtive glances that
shoulder touch.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, those older boys, they sure do love some flirting.
I actually enjoy that movie a fair bit, but it suffers from a lot of the same problems as a lot of the modern Marvel movies do. You know, they've got a lot of lifting to do, and we've seen it all before.
You know, it's the Man. I've talked about this before in many episodes. It's the Man of Steel problem, right? It's like when you have an infinitely powerful character, it's fucking boring as hell.
You just swore you're putting put a Satoshi in the swear wallet.
I will. I'll do that.
Well, folks, we ready to say goodbye?
Did we just lose someone? Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Bye, Rob. Less than.
Rob says goodbye.
That's all right.
I am very out.
All right. So
all right,
folks. Goodbye.
Let's say goodbye. I'll say goodbye for Big Rob. That was.
Is this like a Rob thing where you can say goodbye for each other? Is that like an associative property? If one Rob says goodbye, they all do.
It's like when the two of us do our Wonder Twins activate. You know, Robber Twins activate. It's not really good for anyone. But he's back just in time to say goodbye. Say goodbye for yourself, Rob.
Sorry, I had problems in re-entry.
You got to remember to smash the atmosphere button that's labeled subscribe, as well as the gravity button that's labeled like.
Just in case you haven't used YouTube before and you don't know how this works.
Right. Yeah. You're supposed to say that like 37 times per publication.
The outro card while you guys yammer about subscription.
All right. Say goodbye for yourselves.
Bye.
See you guys.
See ya.
Great War was neither great nor a war.
Catch everybody next week. This is Geeks in Space. I'm Rob CmdrTaco Malda. Have a good weekend. Hopefully you're not going to watch Dark Phoenix.
Yeah.